In this modern world, nothing you've done wrong, no matter how long ago, can ever go without an investigation, or else you're Joe Biden or something. And time seems to be catching up with Fernando Alonso, and his corrupt action way back at McLaren seems to be in the news again. This is in addition to him referring to Lewis Hamilton as an idiot on the track. What caused this spark? Is Alonso in trouble? Let's find out. Aston Martin has been warned that with Fernando Alonso's arrival, heads may roll, as has always occurred with his prior organizations. Aston Martin confirmed at the start of the summer break that Alonso had been picked to replace Sebastian Vettel, who was retiring at the conclusion of the season. The Spaniard was given a 2-year deal that would keep him in the sport until he's 43, but Alonso has a reputation for being quite demanding of his teammates. Former F1 driver turned TV analyst Mark Schurrer has indicated that the same thing may happen if Aston Martin does not behave intelligently. Schurrer told motorsporttotal.com, "He is driven, he drives the team, and sure, he is also a politician. There were usually heads that tumbled on his previous teams. Let's see what happens at Aston Martin now."
Verstappen is out of the race, and that's a big crash!
Despite this, Schurrer believes that the 41-year-old will be successful at his new team, where he will be working alongside another guy with great expectations, team owner Lawrence Stroll. Schurrer feels it will be interesting for the media to watch how they get along, but they will get along since they are both pushing in the same direction. "I believe the two are similarly wired," stated the 71-year-old. "They are determined to achieve by whatever means necessary. Stroll is pleased when Alonso accelerates somewhat, both internally and outside. I believe they are both pulling in the same direction." Mike Crack, the team's principal, has also claimed that they want Alonso to ask uncomfortable questions, since it will lead to greater outcomes. So far, 2022 has been a disastrous season for the squad, with the team wallowing in 9th place in the Constructors' Championship, behind only Williams. When the team presented their B-spec vehicle, the Spanish Grand Prix, they effectively discarded a whole car design, but the results have yet to come. Vettel's 6th-place result in Baku marks the team's best finish this season. Schurrer, on the other hand, feels they're on the rise and has emphasized the arrival of Dan Fallows, the former head of aerodynamics at Red Bull, before leaving to join Aston Martin in January of this year. Fallows' experience, according to the former Arrows driver, has yet to be fully utilized by Aston Martin because he joined too late to have any significant effect on the 2022 vehicle. They always constructed a vehicle at the start of the year, then looked at what the others were doing, and from Barcelona on, they were there more in line with the rest of the field. The team cannot produce a fast vehicle independently. At least, such was the case until today. However, they have now brought in good personnel. Dan Fallows was the longtime chief aerodynamicist at Red Bull. Red Bull has the greatest aerodynamics in Formula One, so things must be moving ahead if the longtime top aerodynamicist at Red Bull is heading to Aston Martin.
I have more hunger this year than I think I've ever.
I believe that already provides promise for next year. And with the Aston Martin situation, it appears like Fernando's previous crime has returned to bite him in the buttocks. Karma, if you will call it, but he's not going to have it easy getting out of this one. Former McLaren technician Mark Prix claims Fernando Alonso allegedly gave out brown envelopes of cash for the garage to prefer him over Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton and Alonso had only been teammates for a year, but it didn't stop them from getting under each other's skin. With Hamilton's entry into the sport as a rookie and Alonso's established status as a 2-time world champion, it was expected that the future 7-time world champion would play second fiddle to Alonso, but that immediately proved not to be the case. The young Brit's rookie season culminated when Alonso purposely stopped in the pits to hinder his teammates' qualifying performance in the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it has now been proven that the corrupt techniques were not limited to the racetrack. On the Pit Stop podcast, former McLaren mechanic turned media personality Priestley revealed that he was once handed a brown package containing €1,500. One of Fernando's techniques is to attempt to get the entire crew over to his side of the garage, the 45-year-old explained. He attempts to take control. There was a time when we had both of them where Fernando showed up at a race and I arrived, and Fernando's manager or trainer was handing out tiny brown envelopes loaded with cash to everyone who wasn't in Lewis's vehicle. So his team, the support team, I was leading the T-car team, we all got these tiny brown envelopes.
The youngest ever pole sitter, Fernando Alonso.
And I remember opening one and there was like €1,500 or something inside. First of all, you receive an unmarked brown envelope. And I'm like, thanks very much, what's that? The trainer goes off, leaving you with this item. When you open it, it's simply full of cash. You glance around and your co-workers are all asking, have you opened yours? How much did you receive? And then this begins spreading across the squad. The only individuals who didn't get them were Lewis's crew. All of a sudden, it dawns on us what's occurred here. He's searching for support. He's trying to persuade people back to his side of this fierce war they were in. However, the strategy failed when the team found the giveaways and forced the receivers to donate the money to charity. On the one side, you could say it was a brilliant approach, but in the end, the team discovered it and forced us to donate the entire amount to charity, which was okay, but it was an interesting glimpse into the two distinct mindsets. Lewis did different things. He played little media games, and they all did things right and wrong. None of us are perfect. But how they went about their strategy for being the best Formula One driver was different. Both achieved great results in their different ways, but they were very different approaches. The battle between Hamilton and Alonso would continue only one season before the latter moved on to Renault. The two racing legends appear to be better buddies today, and Alonso was photographed getting an autographed Mercedes hat from Hamilton after the two collided at Spa. However, Aston Martin appears unconcerned with Fernando's crime. Team head Mike Crack feels that Fernando can lead the squad to the next level. Fernando Alonso possesses the speed, hunger, drive, and experience to assist Aston Martin in taking that next step. Still, things might get tricky if the team fails to create a fast enough vehicle for the former world champion. According to the team manager Mike Crack on Tuesday, Alonso will join Aston Martin from Renault-owned Alpine in the forthcoming season to replace four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, who is retiring after this season. It will be difficult for us, Crack stated in a BBC interview. Normally, drivers with this level of experience do not have the ambition to win, especially if they have already won. Fernando possesses speed, hunger, motivation, and experience. It is the ideal candidate for us. The disadvantage is that if the automobile we give is inadequate, we know it becomes tough. We believe that having someone like Fernando is critical to taking the next step as a team. This season, Aston Martin had 11 top 10 finishes, with Vettel's 6th place performance in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix being their best. With 6 races remaining on the calendar, they are 9th in the 10-team constructors standings, which shows that the team is actually doing quite well. Crack remarked, "You must learn to handle champions as we did with Sebastian. These drivers are tough to manage because they are so demanding. If you are upfront, honest and direct, Sebastian is not that tough to manage, and I believe the same is true for Fernando. When he gets here, he understands we're not going to win the first race together, but he may be confident we will give it our all and listen to what he says." Aston Martin is convinced that having Fernando Alonso on its regalies would help them achieve much in any issue he is swimming in. The next season will undoubtedly be hotly contested, and Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso are prepared to face it all. What do you think will happen to Fernando now that he's been accused of bribery? And would this affect his move to Aston Martin or not? Comment below.
Becomes part of your DNA.
Norris slides off.
That's competition.
No, it wasn't so not right.